The Young and the Restless, the dark plan against Audra. The tension within Genoa City was palpable, particularly between Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles. Kyle had never trusted Audra, and recent events had only solidified his resolve to distance himself from her. Claire, sharing Kyle's disdain, devised a dark and dangerous plan to rid themselves of Audra once and for all. This plan, however, would test the very limits of their morality and the bonds of their relationship. Claire, with a history of manipulation and ruthlessness, quickly set her plan into motion. She proposed to Kyle a covert operation. They would kidnap Audra and eliminate her quietly, ensuring that no one would ever suspect their involvement. Claire's idea was to spread rumors that Audra had followed Tucker McCall out of Genoa City to start a new life, thus erasing her presence without arousing suspicion. Kyle was taken aback by Claire's sinister proposal. He had always known her to be assertive and determined, but this level of malevolence was unexpected. Despite his reservations, Kyle found himself agreeing to the plan, recognizing that they had few alternatives if they wanted to secure their positions and protect their interests. Claire, drawing on her past experiences and the lessons taught to her by Jordan, felt no hesitation. She meticulously planned every detail, ensuring that the abduction would be swift and untraceable. On the appointed night, Claire and Kyle executed their plan, abducting Audra from her home and transporting her to a secluded location on the outskirts of the city. Audra, waking up to find herself in captivity, was initially bewildered and terrified. She quickly realized, however, that her captors were none other than Kyle and Claire. The realization brought a wave of anger and defiance. Audra was not one to be easily subdued. She began to devise her own escape plan, aware that her life depended on it. Kyle, seeing the fear in Audra's eyes, began to have second thoughts. He had never intended for things to go this far. His goal was to intimidate Audra, to scare her into leaving Genoa City, not to kill her. However, Claire's excitement and determination were unyielding. She saw this as a final solution, a way to rid themselves of a formidable adversary once and for all. In the midst of this tense standoff, Nate Hastings, Audra's boyfriend, became increasingly worried about her sudden disappearance. His instincts told him that something was terribly wrong. Using his connections and resources, Nate began to investigate, eventually uncovering traces of Claire and Kyle's involvement. Driven by love and desperation, Nate set out to rescue Audra. As Nate closed in on the captor's location, Kyle and Claire faced a critical juncture. Kyle, racked with guilt and fear, pleaded with Claire to reconsider. He argued that they could still release Audra, scare her into submission, and avoid crossing a line from which they could never return. Claire, however, was too far gone in her resolve. She believed that Audra's death was the only way to secure their future. Just as Claire was about to take the final, irreversible step, Nate burst onto the scene. The confrontation was intense, with Nate demanding Audra's release and threatening to expose Kyle and Claire's crimes. In the chaos that ensued, Kyle saw an opportunity to end this nightmare. He intervened, wresting control from Claire and allowing Nate to free Audra. Audra, though shaken and injured, was alive. Nate's timely intervention had saved her life. The aftermath of the ordeal left deep scars on all involved. Kyle, tormented by his complicity, vowed to make amends and distance himself from Claire's influence. He realized that his desire for power and control had led him down a dark path, one that he could no longer follow. Claire, on the other hand, faced the consequences of her actions. Her reputation was in tatters, and her relationship with Kyle irreparably damaged. She had let her ambition and ruthlessness consume her, ultimately leading to her downfall. Audra, though traumatized, emerged stronger and more determined than ever to protect herself and those she cared about. The incident served as a stark reminder of the lengths to which people would go for power and revenge. In the complex world of Genoa City, where alliances and rivalries were ever shifting, the boundaries of morality and sanity were often blurred. Kyle, Claire, and Audra had been caught in a web of their own making, and it would take time and effort to untangle themselves and find a path to redemption. As the dust settled, the residents of Genoa City were left to reflect on the events that had transpired. The lines between right and wrong had been tested, and the consequences of their actions would reverberate through their lives for years to come. The battle for power and control continued, but the scars of this dark episode would serve as a reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows.